Wealth does not come from money, comes from something no one can control. Human behavior. And today that behavior is no longer studied by humans. Machines study it. Robots assemble cars without human hands. Algorithms decide prices, careers, investments. Artificial intelligence analyzes billions of data points in 1 second. The market today is not made of people, made of systems that learn, predict, anticipate. And every day someone asks what will happen to human work. Who will control the economy? Who decides what has value and what does not? Looks like a new world. Not new at all. 2 centuries ago a man had already foreseen all this. Not robots. Not computers. Not artificial intelligence. Only the consequences. If Adam Smith were alive today, he would look at our digital economy and say nothing has changed. Only the hands that move the market have changed. Because the logic stays the same. Self-interest. Competition. Specialization. The search for advantage. And today machines follow that logic. Not humans. Smith would understand that robotics is not a threat. A new form of the division of labor. The same one he observed in a pin factory. Only multiplied by 1,000. Back then 10 men produced thousands of pieces. Today 10 robots produce millions without stopping. And Smith would say something no one wants to hear. The problem is not the robots. The problem is who controls them. Because the invisible hand in 2026 is no longer invisible. An algorithm. The code. The platform that decides what you see. What you buy. What you desire. And Smith would understand this before anyone else. So we go back to him. Back to that Scottish boy born in 1723. In a poor rural land far from factories and machines. He grows up without a father. Raised by a mother who believes in discipline and study. Introverted. Almost awkward. But his mind never stops. Studies in Glasgow. Then in Oxford. And does not become an economist. Becomes a moral philosopher. Before speaking about money, he studies the human soul. Studies why we do what we do. Studies what pushes us to act. To choose. To take risks. For him, every individual lives between 2 forces. Self-interest and sympathy. The ability to feel what others feel. We are not saints. Not machines of pure egoism. Human beings searching for balance. Between what we want and what we must. This intuition becomes the base of his thought. And when he publishes The Wealth of Nations in 1776, the world changes. Before Smith, the economy was simple. More gold means more wealth. More control of trade means more power. A rigid system obsessed with control. Smith destroys it. A nation becomes rich because it produces. Because it trades. Because it works. And above all, no sovereign must decide everything. A free market creates its own order. Not perfect. Not moral. But effective. Here his most famous metaphor is born. The invisible hand. Not magic. The unintended result of individual actions. Everyone thinks of themselves. And by doing so they help collective well-being. The baker does not wake up at 3 in the morning for altruism. Wants to earn. And for this reason produces good bread. Accessible bread. Competitive bread. If he fails, customers leave him. The market corrects him. Smith does not say the market is perfect. Says the market works better when no one suffocates it. Smith visits a pin factory. 1 man alone produces few pieces. 10 men each specialized in one task produce thousands. This simple observation becomes a revolution. The division of labor increases productivity. Reduces costs. Accelerates growth. From here everything begins. The assembly line. Modern industry. Mass production. Smith understands that wealth does not come from effort. Comes from the organization of effort. And today that division of labor becomes automation. Robots assemble. Software analyze. AI decide. Production is no longer local. Global. A product is born in 5 different countries. Crosses oceans. Passes through robots. Software. Artificial intelligence. Competition is no longer between shops. Between ecosystems. Amazon. Apple. Tesla. Alibaba. Giants that embody exactly what Smith predicted. The power of self-interest that without control becomes monopoly. Smith is not a fanatic of the market. Does not believe the market solves everything. The state must exist, with clear tasks: defense, justice, infrastructure, basic education, stopping monopolies and privileges. A free market is not a market without rules. A market where rules stop the strong from crushing the weak. Smith hates monopolies. Sees them as a disease of the market. When few control everything, the invisible hand stops working. Smith attacks tariffs, barriers, protections. Free trade allows nations to specialize, to grow, to innovate. A closed nation becomes poor. An open nation becomes stronger. In the 18th century, this idea becomes a political bomb. Takes power away from kings, from privileged merchants, from corporations. Says that wealth comes from movement, not from control. Many paint him as the father of ruthless capitalism. A huge mistake. Smith knows humans are not only calculation, also emotion, empathy, the need for approval. In his first book, The Theory of Moral Sentiments, he explains that society works only if trust exists, if justice exists, if morality exists. Without these pillars, the market collapses. The invisible hand does not work in a corrupt world. Works only when people respect basic rules of coexistence. Smith does not believe in the goodness of the market, believes in the responsibility of individuals. Every time you choose a product, a job, a price, you enter the world of Adam Smith. Every time a society grows or collapses, his ideas return. Smith is not the past, the present. And every time a YouTube channel speaks about money, about freedom, about work, speaks about Adam Smith. Even without knowing it, Adam Smith did not invent capitalism, described the human being, and by doing so showed that wealth does not come from gold, comes from the freedom to create, to trade, to collaborate. His invisible hand is not a dogma, a warning. When individuals are free and rules are fair, society prospers. When rules suffocate or favor a few, society dies. Smith is not an author to study, an author to understand, because he describes the world we live in every day. If this journey stirred something inside you, share your thoughts in the comments and tell me where you're listening from. Thank you for your presence.